Hey, this is Notser, and we're talking about armor-piercing bombs. Why armor-piercing bombs? Well, 0.6.7, public test server is about to go live. We had some data mining, and oh boy, did we data mine a lot. We now know that AP bombs will be available to the Enterprise. This was speculated, and it looks like they're actually going through with it. Now, AP bombs on the Enterprise, what does that mean? AP bombs are going to be designed to counter battleships. That's what the Wargaming employee has suggested. They will overpin destroyers and cruisers, but the AP bomb itself should be able to go down through the deck, get into the Citadel, and do massive damage to battleships. And it'll be easier to hit if they're stationary. So that sounds like a direct attack across the bow of all those bow-on battleships, right? It's like, stop playing so passively. You're ruining the game. You quite literally are ruining the game. Because these games, I don't want to play 20 minutes every single game. I don't want to sit there and see that one team has captured 3 bases while the other team has sustained less than 1 ship dead. And it's 10 minutes in. Did anyone actually want to play the game? Or did you just want to load in and lose credits? Because that's what it looks like you just did. So AP bombs on the Enterprise designed to counter battleships. That sounds good to me. Well, there's more. Now, AP bombs on the Enterprise sounds completely fine, right? Well, Wargaming wants to give you the option, the ability to select whether you use AP or HE. How are they going to do that? They're going to use the module system, similar to selecting the torpedo type or the hull type if you have a hull that has extra AA and you sacrifice some torpedo launchers. That's the sort of system they want for AP versus HE. So you can't select 50% HE, 50% AP. That's not an option, at least what they're designing or envisioning. You will be able to say before you load in, I want this to be an AP loadout. Okay, 100% AP and whatever loadout you end up doing, mostly dive bomber, mostly the anti-air, or maybe a strike package, whatever. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, that's terrible. You can only do 100%. I mean, you want to counter the meta. I think that all AP will counter the meta very well right now. There's just so many battleships in every single game. It's really overbearing. I love battleships, don't get me wrong, but battleships should never be over 50% of the population each battle. These are extremely expensive ships, and for them to just be the most is hilarious. It's just not realistic at all. There's nothing realistic about that at all. So I hope that this does, in fact, counter battleships very hard and forces a change in the meta, if that's the direction they want to go. So AP bombs for the Enterprise. Well, guess what? AP bombs for the Enterprise will not be an Enterprise gimmick. They plan to introduce this to all mid and high tier American aircraft carriers. That's pretty cool. These are aircraft carriers that have been basically irrelevant for over a year. Whenever they made that change, dropped the second torpedo, it ruined the American aircraft carrier. They are just 4, 5, 6% weaker than the Japanese equivalent each and every tier. There's no reason to play American aircraft carriers. But maybe there will be with AP bombs if they counter the meta so hard that you have to build into an anti-air build, or maybe the battleships have to stick with cruisers. Oh my god, could you imagine if a battleship had to rely on a teammate? Whew. What crazy world are we suggesting, Wargaming, that we actually work together? Oh, maybe they would actually have to move too, not just stay bow on, because quite frankly, it would be a lot easier to drop a bomb on something that doesn't move. So AP bombs going to be introduced with the Enterprise initially, and then if it's successful, they will introduce it to all mid and high tier American aircraft carriers, which is going to be great. And the AP is going to overpin destroyers and cruisers naturally, do good damage to battleships naturally, and the Moskva. They did say that the Moskva will indeed probably take full AP damage from the AP bomb, so I think that's kind of hilarious. So, what do you guys think of this? Do you think that this is making the aircraft carrier more relevant to the meta? I really do think that these are both of these things, AP bombs and American aircraft carriers getting it, are both very good changes. I really believe that the last month or so has been really bad from a play standpoint. I have had so many one-sided games. I don't think I've ever had quite the level of one-sided gameplay. Or you get into a match and one enemy team refuses to go after the objective. They just sit in the back, and it's about 10 minutes in, and only one ship is dead on either side. And the game's basically over. Those are terrible. Don't you see you're killing the game by being so passive? But my damage! But this is what they do in competitive! I don't give a crap! Nobody wants to play a game where nothing happens for 10 minutes. Nobody. We need to not contribute to that, guys. I'm hoping that most of you don't, but you know those games. You feel like you wasted your credit, you wasted your time. We don't want it. The game industry is too competitive for you to ever feel like, oh, this is a waste of my time. You just can't do that. You can't do that in a game that this takes this long to play. You can't. So we need to get that out. Is radar the solution for smoke? I don't know. But it sounds like AP bombs might be the exact solution that we need to encourage battleships to not only move forward, but to keep up with their teammates and perhaps choose ships that are a little bit weaker in their main armament, but stronger in their AA protection, depending on how the meta goes. Now, it could go so overbearing. We have experienced overbearing aircraft where every single battleship basically feels like they're dead at the start of the match. We don't want that either. No, wargaming. We don't want it to be so comfortable for people to roll with an American aircraft carrier and AP bombs that every game is 4 aircraft carriers, 4 American aircraft carriers with AP bombs, and they're going to the first isolated battleship or the first battleship period and taking them out without any repercussion. We don't want that, wargaming. Please don't go back to that. I lived through the Midway's dual torpedo drops at point blank range. Hey, I heard you like torpedoes. How about I give you 12 of them at point blank? Doesn't matter what ship you are, you're already dead. Yeah, let's not do that. But a solution to keep battleships moving, maybe keep them from being isolated as much, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Do I think that this is the only solution that aircraft carriers need? No. I really, really, really dislike how much change a player can impact their AA systems with. You have like 3 or 4 skills that you can take in your talent tree, or whatever it's called. Your commander tree, skill tree. You can also decide to pick up a couple modules. And then, on top of that, you have defensive fire. You also can just choose AA-focused ships to the point where absolutely no aircraft are breaking through. And that begins to create a game where nobody can do anything as an aircraft carrier. Why play, right? Conversely, if aircraft carriers are so strong that people feel like, well, why even bother? I'm going to be dead. I can't stop him. We're going to have to see where it lies with this change. But I'm pretty confident that AP bombs, as they're being suggested, testing on the Enterprise, and then if it works out, they're going to be implementing it on mid to high tier American aircraft carriers, is a great thing. Allowing the player to decide through the modules, like torpedoes, is a great solution. And having it overpin destroyers and cruisers is also a great solution because we don't need to weaken those classes at all. The added AA, the added aircraft, is already going to weaken destroyers, and the cruisers, They don't need anything else that contributes to their weakness. They are already, by and large, just terrible in a lot of instances. They just feel like they're just so useless. Just pull a battleship. So I'm really interested in this. I really want to hear what you think. Obviously, the majority of players will never play aircraft carriers, but if you have an aircraft carrier in your game, you would hope that they would contribute to your team. And if you're going up against an aircraft carrier, you would hope that they don't feel overbearingly powerful to the point where you can't do anything. Nothing you do will stop them from attacking you and blowing you up like the Death Star. You know? It's like, please, give me a chance. No chance for you, my friend. The Force is strong with this one. Yeah, the Force is really strong. So yeah, I had to talk about it. I felt like it was important. I feel like it is something that needs to be addressed. The other thing I feel that needs to be addressed at some point is just how strong smoke is in the game right now. You have so much protection with hydroacoustic and smoke. It's really easy to avoid torpedoes coming in. Perhaps Wargaming should have considered something that prevented you from using hydroacoustic and smoke at the same time, and or radar, because the whole point of smoke is that you are self-denying vision, right? Now you just completely counter that with radar, and to a lesser extent, an extremely lesser extent, hydroacoustic. Now I like that radar is going to move that campy loser out of his position right at the edge of that island just as much as everyone else. But what I don't like is that because of all the information that I'm given, you know, I'm detected, and the detection occurs within a detection ring that I can see easily on the map, and I know that my radar works up to it, well then, there is the destroyer, and I can just turn it on to, ooh, look at who I found, and he can't do anything. The destroyer should have some way to break off his attack relatively quick. You know, there should be some tell that radar is available to the target, or that it's going to be useful at a certain range. Just something to help a destroyer out. Something that a destroyer could perceive that would increase the skill level, but not I don't want it to be like, oh, well, you have to do this now. I just would like to give the destroyer more options, especially for dealing with radar. Hydroacoustic to a lesser extent, but radar can feel really overbearing when you're playing the game correctly. You're not a stationary destroyer. You're just trying to get into a position to ambush the target, and oh boy, you got radared and you're dead. You know, the Des Moines could kill like 3 targets in the time the radar exists. I don't really feel that for a Soviet destroyer. You know, maybe the radar just lasts too long for Americans. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but that's a separate issue. The AP bomb change and the addition of AP bomb is an interesting one. I think it's good. I like that they're trying to focus it on anti-battleship play, and I also like that it's addressing the American aircraft carrier issues. I still don't feel like the American aircraft carrier loadouts are as fair as the Japanese. The Japanese are basically, take this one, it's good at everything. The Americans are like, well, do you want to be good at fighters because you're going to be bad at everything else? Or, oh, do you want to be good at attacking the ground because you'll be really bad at anti-air work? Or, oh, let's do something a little bit crazy. Let's do both and not very good. Oh man, Wargaming, that sounds like a great play. Why can't we have everything like that? You know, just ask a battleship captain, would you like to do AP damage? Or would you like to do HE damage? You can't do both, or you can't have good secondaries or good armor or good A. You can only have one thing. That's what the American aircraft carriers have been since they adjusted loadouts. You can only be good at one thing. And then you're over there, you're looking at the Japanese, that beautiful Japanese girl, and she's like, oh, she's got it all. She's got looks, she's got talent, and she's got intelligence. It's like, oh, it's just not fair. It's just not fair, that Japanese girl. So, we'll see how it works out. I'm optimistic in the implementation. It sounds good. We'll just have to see if it actually is good. I hope you all enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed the analogies, of course. I will be checking you guys out tomorrow on my stream, hopefully, and there'll be another video, and hopefully I'm getting the German cruiser out finally. You know, maybe something else will happen. Oh my god, public test server. We've got to talk about raid play. Oh no. Don't get me started on that. It was awful. Most of my games, I was a tier 6 versus tier 8s. Tier 6s aren't very good against tier 8s. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. So I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.